So this question is one that I'm sure almost all of us have thought about during pregnancy. My partner and I are fighting all the time. Can the baby hear us? Are we emotionally scarring them? I was constantly worried about this when I was pregnant. I would wrap a blanket around my belly when Eric and I would argue, thinking it would like protect Hudson from the bite. What I didn't realize is that it doesn't really matter as much if they can hear what's happening. What matters is the impact of the stressor hormones that the baby is being exposed to when you're in an argument with your partner. And before we get all stressed out about getting stressed out or having the occasional argument, know that it's life to occasionally be stressed out. It's life to occasionally argue with our partner. Little bits of stress here and there are not going to derail your baby's health. So don't freak out if occasionally you feel stress. But if you are regularly experiencing high levels of stress, if you and your partner are fighting almost every day, that can be an indication that, you need support and you need tools to help to reduce the fighting and maybe you have other things that are stressing you out. Stress, comes from all different directions. And so while, again, I'm not trying to freak us out, I am going to mention a few studies about how high levels of stress can impact the fetus. So in the journal Frontiers in Human Neuroscience, they found that a fetus's exposure to high levels of stressor hormones, which include cortisol, adrenaline, epinephrine, other stress hormones, when they're flooding the body, that could potentially lead to the baby having symptoms of anxiety, depression, increased stress of their own. Later in life, a study in Women and Birth in that journal found that maternal stress could increase the risk for preterm birth. This is one of the biggest findings in regards to prenatal stress, is that it could lead to preterm birth. The final study that I'm going to drop was published in Obstetric Medicine, and they reported that prenatal stress could result in low birth weight and could potentially impact the child's learning and memory later in life. And then for mama, of course, high levels of stress that can lead to anxiety, depression, headaches, nausea, cramping, digestive issues, sleep issues. Nobody wants the high levels of stress. With all of that said, it's really important to mention that while, some fighting is normal, if the fighting that you're experiencing has even a thread of emotional or physical abuse, seek help. Reach out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline. It's at thehotline.org, thehotline.org. They offer guidance and referrals for women experiencing any type of abuse, or even for women that are just wondering if certain aspects of their relationship are unhealthy. So again, thehotline.org if you think that there are some serious issues in your relationship. If not, if you're just like, my partner bugs me more when I'm pregnant, they're just triggering me, I'm triggering them. The first thing I want you to do, I love lists so much. I want you to make a list of everything that is stressing you out, things that aren't even related to your partner. But when you get to your partner, get really specific, hone in on, what it is that they're doing that's bothering you, or hone in on certain things that you're doing that seem to trigger fights. Like really get more clear about what's actually happening. This exercise helps to take a lot of the mystery out of your relationship stress and gives you a jumping off point in regards to communication. And so in regards to communication, I swear this is like my advice in almost every video. Communication is key, guys. So once you have that list and you're in a good headspace, you're well rested, you've eaten, you're not currently feeling pissed with your partner, go ahead and sit down with them and be like, look, neither one of us want to be stressed out. You can even drop those studies that I just mentioned. It's like, it's not good for the baby for me to be really stressed out. And I feel like part of the stress is coming from our relationship. You know, nobody's at fault, but, you know, we want to be a team. We don't want to feel like we're adversaries. So let's, you know, let's talk it through. Let's figure out the tools we can use to fight less. One of the tools you can mention is pausing. So for both of you, when you feel triggered, when like a hurtful comment is just on the tip of your tongue, really try to practice pausing, being like, I need a second. And even though it's awkward at first, if they're like, no, just like stay here and talk, it's like, nope, I need a second. Go to the bathroom, go outside, take a few deep breaths. Figure out what's triggering you. If your partner is really out of line and you need to tell them that, like take a few deep breaths and figure out how you can say that calmly. Maybe they're doing something that's totally reasonable and you're just really tired and hungry and you're like, oh, whoa, like this isn't actually a legitimate catalyst for a fight. Like I just need to feed myself or go take a nap. Pause. Same for your partner. Tell them to pause, you know, really think about what's going on, and if you really want to say that thing that might lead to a fight. Another one is to fill your partner in on what it's like to be pregnant. So many of the fights I had with Eric are because I felt like he didn't understand what I was going through. He didn't understand the different pains I had, the fears, the changes I was going through. But unless we tell them, they can't really know, which is what I finally figured out. Like, oh, whoa, I've never actually communicated any of this to him. I'm just mad when he doesn't get it. So to tell them, you know, tell them about your fears, tell them about how uncomfortable it can be to grow a human. Let them know what's going on with you, and then straight up tell them, say, I'm going to need you to cut me a lot of slack. I'm going to need more support in these areas. I'm in a very tender space, and this is how I need you to support me. Another one is a compliment sandwich, my favorite. So when you have something, you know, that you need to tell your partner that's important and that maybe they'll see as a critique, and this is going to happen on both sides. You know, when you live with somebody, there's going to be stuff that bugs you or that you want them to potentially change. So compliment sandwich is so great. It's just what it sounds like. I'm sure you've heard of it before. I'm not inventing a new wheel. You give them a compliment, you tell them the critique, and you give them another compliment. So an example, when Hudson was a baby, Eric would go surfing a lot and he'd be gone for a really long period of time surfing, and it started to bug me. And so when I wasn't pissed off about it, I went to him, and let me tell you, I did not always do this, but this was one of my finer moments. And I was like, hey babe, you know, like I love how much you love surfing. It seems to make you so happy, and that is amazing. I'm in awe of your commitment to surfing. I'm wondering if you can make your surf trips a little bit shorter, you know, maybe make it back in 2 or 3 hours instead of 4 or 5. Hudson and I really love being around you. You're so great. You offer amazing support as a dad. Is that something you think you can do? I lathered compliments all over that request. If I was just like, dude, the amount of time that you use to go surfing is ridiculous. You need to cut it out and get home sooner. The conversation would have gone much more different than how it did. With the compliment sandwich, he heard me, and while he didn't respect that wish every time, he did it a lot more than if I was just nagging him and just giving the critique. Okay, another one is gratitude maintenance. So the longer we're paired with another human, the easier it becomes to only see their annoying qualities and to forget why we love them, why we appreciate them. So when you and your partner feel that gratitude is lacking, like you're in a rut, like you both feel unappreciated, go ahead and have each of you make a list of 10 things that you're grateful for in each other. And they can be super specific. They don't have to be like some big, huge thing, but like, I love how you make a cup of tea, or I love how you rub my feet, whatever it is, and read them to each other. So you really get the message that, oh, wow, I am appreciated. This person does see me more than I realize. And then to remind yourself, again, that the human that you have paired yourself with is not just a sack of annoyingness, that they are a beautiful human that cares about you and that actually does really sweet things for you. So gratitude maintenance, anytime you feel the gratitude lacking, Hugging. It's almost impossible to be giving a hug or receiving a hug and not to have your anger and stress subside. So, for example, if you're in an argument with your partner and you're feeling sad about it, you're just like, what can I do to kind of like snap us out of this? As awkward as it is initially, go up and give them a hug. And probably to start with, they'll be like tense and be like, why are you hugging me? But just keep hugging them, rubbing their back, and eventually you will feel them soften and return the hug. Because just like deep breaths, it's almost impossible to be in like a really tense state when you're taking deep breaths. Same with like a hug. It's really hard to stay in that state of like anger and annoyance when somebody that you love is wrapped in your arms. And so, my two quick things for general stress, which obviously happens, singing actually helps because music can actually lower cortisol levels. So, you can either listen to music or like sing out loud to your favorite song. When you're actually making the music, it has really potent effects in regards to lowering that cortisol and just decompressing. Even when things all seem merry and bright, pregnancy hormones might still make you kind of spin out and feel really stressed. So, meditating, taking that warm bath, going for a walk, getting a prenatal massage, they're all pretty classic relaxation techniques, but they're classic because they work. So take time to nourish yourself, to lower that stress, and you will see a big difference. And encourage your partner to do the same. When you see them like getting really stressed and anxious, encourage them to take some time to get back to that state of equilibrium. I hope this helps. Again, it's so natural to feel stressed, but if you're feeling excessively stressed, really invest in yourself, invest in your relationship, and figure out what can be done to minimize the fighting, to minimize your stress. If you have questions about this or anything else, go ahead and let me know in the comments below.